This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, folks. Well, thanks so much for making some time for joining us today. I'm delighted to have Rafael Renteria from CallTower with us today. And we're going to be focusing on Microsoft Teams today and exactly how Microsoft Teams can be leveraged to enable remote work, because obviously everyone's kind of like doing the shelter in place. And we're hearing more and more of our clients run into issues that they've just received an enormous cell phone bill, a corporate cell phone bill, because people are using their corporate cell phones, etc., or trying to expense their personal cell phones to basically make business calls, etc. So today we're going to be showing you exactly how Teams can be extended out to remote workers and their smart devices and so on and so forth. So without any further ado, let's get started and take a look at the agenda for today. So we'll begin with an overall what is Microsoft Teams, and we're going to be sharing some statistics on how the adoption of Teams is going out there in the marketplace. We're going to have a quick intro to USA Voice and Data and what makes us the UCaaS experts. We're going to be then having Rafael explain why you should basically look to CallTower when dealing with Microsoft Teams. And there's some really good value proposition slides in there and points that he's going to be talking through. We're then going to be reviewing what your options are for enabling voice on the Teams platform. And then finally, I think Rafael's got a special COVID-19 response special promo running right now, which he's going to review for us before actually showing exactly what a remote worker would experience if he was using Teams for voice, etc. We'll then be wrapping up with key takeaways, and then I'll just let you know how to get started if you are interested in moving ahead with Microsoft Teams and voice for Microsoft Teams. So you'll be going away with a bunch of really great takeaways and know exactly how you should get engaged with us to help you leverage Teams for voice, etc. If anyone has any questions at any point in time, I haven't muted anybody or whatever, please just chirp up. Questions are more than welcome, and I know Rafael and I will do our very best to answer them as they come up, so people don't forget about them, and you know, we want to answer them as they arise. So firstly, you know, what is Microsoft Teams? Obviously, there's been some transition over at Microsoft, and we went from the world of Skype to Skype for Business, and then Office 365 came about, and now all of that kind of got regurgitated and popped out as Teams. And what Teams essentially is, sort of out of the box as Office 365, is a UCaaS platform, a unified communication as a service platform, but without voice capability, like proper telephony capabilities. So you can chat, you can set up group chats, you can set up internal calls and meetings and desk shares and so on and so forth. Obviously integrated, you've got all of the Office 365 suite that you're used to with your Word and your Excel and PowerPoint and so on and so forth, as well as those the chat and meeting type capabilities. And then obviously with the package, it's like the typical enterprise security and compliance that you would expect from a product from Microsoft. So for those of you who are already on Office 365, you know, you'll be very used to seeing these sort of options for you to communicate internally within your organization. But where you're not going to be able to communicate is externally with folks outside of your organization, etc. And obviously, your telephone numbers that are currently sitting with your phone services vendor, whether that's a UCaaS platform or whether it's a premise-based phone system with PRI services and so on and so forth. They aren't integrated, fully integrated with the Teams platform as it is. So again, this will be a familiar sort of situation for most folks who have used Skype and so on and so forth. But they've never had a business telephone number that they could give out that would be integrated into a single pane of glass from a user perspective. Raf, any more thoughts in that regard?
No, you hit it right on the head. You're making my job easy.
Right. Okay. Cool. So I'm gonna have Raf handle these next couple of slides because he's more familiar with them, and being in the trenches over at CallTower, he's just seeing this massive adoption of Teams and Teams voice, etc. So Raf, over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for getting on. Sorry I was a couple minutes late. I live in the Teams environment, so when I actually go to someone else's bridge, it messes up all my settings for headset and cameras and stuff like that. So, so I didn't get a chance to jump on earlier to adjust that. So I apologize for that. But this is, as Sam mentioned, this is something that's blowing up. I mean, using Teams, which many companies are for their chat, their collaboration, their presence, and everything else, is really, really kind of taken over, especially what's going on right now with COVID-19. As of last year, this is some great little statistics that I like to, put in the presentation, but we have one even before this. From July to November, there was 13 million active users that were on Teams. As of November, July to November, it's up to 20 million. So it's grown 50% in those 4 months, which is just phenomenal, right? And kind of going into the next slide here, from there to March, March 18th exactly, Microsoft published that they were up to 44 million active daily users within Teams, right? Now, again, this is worldwide. So this is great. So coronavirus has surged that up 220%. And I just saw a report. There was actually a Teams engineer that I follow on social media, and he tweeted out that as of, and I want to get it as a hard fact before I actually publish it, but he said that they were up almost 1,100% just from March 18th to today. So that's crazy. I mean, what that percentage is grown to.
1,100%.
1,100%, yes, since March 18th. Now, again, he tweeted it out, so I want an actual fact because I don't want to take what some engineer kind of got excited about by posting it. So once they truly publish it, then I will also include it in my presentations. But it's going up 1,100% since March 18th, which is just crazy.
So probably around about 500 million.
Yes.
I mean, just approximately. I mean, that's just incredible, right? I mean, so obviously everyone is understanding, and you're hearing about Zoom and everyone jumping on the Zoom bandwagon and so on and so forth. I know because we work with Zoom and we work with Ring and we work with 8x8 and so on and so forth. We know that there's just been an avalanche of adoption in unified communication as a service platforms. But these numbers are just absolutely astounding. I mean, in essentially a month, we're talking 11 times multiplier of platform. That's crazy.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely
nuts. Crazy. And if anyone has anyone followed the draft, or NFL draft, it was all done on Teams. You've seen some recent commercials this past weekend. There was Microsoft talking about Teams. Where they actually had live customers, praising Teams. With the recent news of Zoom and some security faults that they have, people have kind of shifted to Teams. I know Microsoft's out there parading that. out there that, certain school districts, and for example, in New York, drop Zoom and they're moving to Teams based on the security and everything else. So a lot of neat things coming with Teams.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. This is a great little report here. Based on an organization that came out with this, they interviewed 350 customers between 1,000 and 20,000 users, and 76% said that they are using or would be willing to use Teams in 2020. 56% said that they will plan on using Teams voice as their phone system, which is exciting. And that's kind of what I'm seeing is a lot of, based on what's going on today, so many companies that are using Teams and now they just want to activate it as their PBX, right? Yeah. Having it use it on a daily basis. I mean, you're comfortable using it. Why not just make it your phone system and get the full suite all in one solution?
Right, single pane of glass, right? That's kind of what
everyone's looking for.
Right.
Absolutely. And this is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, perfect. So, who's USA Voice and Data? What makes us the UCaaS experts? So, we're a leading technology advisor and broker. We provide our clients advice and assistance in purchasing technology solutions across a range of different things. And obviously, sort of voice/cloud is kind of what we're talking about today, UCaaS, right? It's a voice and cloud-based voice offering, really, right? But this is all we do every day, day in, day out. We help companies move to these sort of cloud-based voice solutions, etc. We handle everything around network, internet, security, you name it. But typically, what we're seeing today is probably around about 60% of our business is either moving companies to UCaaS platforms and or upping their internet and their network between their offices to handle cloud-based solutions like UCaaS. So we're seeing a lot of interest in SD-WAN technology in conjunction with getting better internet connectivity and redundancy from that perspective. And obviously, when you're moving to a cloud-based solution for your voice, it's absolutely imperative that you are actually providing the necessary internet connectivity and reliable internet connectivity so that you can actually be reached. Now, one of the great things with Teams and this platform is there is a mobile app which comes included, etc., with the voice solution. So it doesn't matter if your internet went out anyhow, so long as you got a smartphone and so on and so forth, you'd be able to answer calls just like they were ringing to a regular phone sitting on somebody's desk. So, what we're seeing for remote workers as they move right now into these things is, oh my God, we don't even need a handset anymore. Forget about it. We'll just use a soft phone on our laptop and get a nice Bluetooth earpiece, and we can work from wherever. So this is the stuff that we manage every day. We help clients evaluate what's the best solution for them. So obviously, we work with an enormous range of different providers that provide UCaaS and contact center as a solution services as well. And obviously, CallTower is one of our key providers, and that's why we're so delighted to have Raphael here today to talk about their Teams offering and their voice solutions. So one of the things which really helps us is because we do this every day, we've generated proprietary tools to objectively evaluate the different solutions against one another. So versus a client having to spend an awful lot of times evaluating, how does CallTower's Teams thing compare with RingCentral or with Evolve IP or Mitel or Jive and GoToMeeting and Vonage and so on and so forth, right? So we have all these tools developed so we can very quickly ascertain what makes the most sense based upon each individual business client's key requirements, right? And every single business, as alike they are of needing dial tone, each business has some very different requirements from potentially an integration perspective, with them using different applications and so on and so forth. So we can help cut through the mire and accelerate to pinpointing exactly who they should be considering. And then obviously our brokering services helps them make sure that they get the very best deal for those. So that's USA Voice and Data, and that's what we do. Again, that's why we're here today, and that's why we're here to introduce CallTower to you guys. So with that, let me hand back to Raf, and he's going to talk more about CallTower and their breadth of service offering in conjunction with Teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Sam. With CallTower, we're very unique because we like to say that we're a solutions provider, right? We're not a unified communications as a service company. We're a solutions provider. So I know today's focus is Microsoft Teams, and as Sam had put on his, one of the previous slides, all the different providers, and working with Sam and his team to understand what your needs are depends on what we would talk about, right? So today, again, we're talking about Microsoft Teams, but with CallTower, we started off back in 2002 with a hosted Cisco platform. So we were selling hosted call managers essentially, and we evolved into having our own Skype for Business servers, which we still sell quite a bit of. We have the 2019 version, Microsoft Teams, which again is the focus for today. We're a direct routing partner, and we were Microsoft's very first direct routing partner when it came out in 2018. We also have a fourth platform, which we call our CT Cloud Voice product. It's another platform that does work with Teams on some features, which I'm going to touch on here in a little bit, and why the different solutions. So even though we're here to talk about Teams, if we need other solutions, we do offer that. Contact center as well. We have 3 flavors of contact center, so understanding what your needs are depends on what contact center flavor I'm going to recommend. And kind of getting into the conferencing collaboration side of it, Zoom's a big company. We are partnered with Zoom. We offer our CT Cloud meeting powered by Zoom. So if there are Zoom needs, basically people say, well, what's the difference in going to Zoom Direct versus your CT Cloud meeting? It's really Zoom is our CT Cloud meeting powered by Zoom is basically, it looks like Zoom. It feels like Zoom. It's half the price of Zoom. So if there's any need for Zoom licenses, we're happy to help out there. We also have our Cisco WebEx meetings. As a Cisco partner, we offer that. We are an Office 365 shop as well. So we are a CSP with Microsoft, a gold partner. So we can help you with any of your licensing if you like. And then network optimization. We offer bandwidth. Typically, it's kind of an add-on. We're not selling just bandwidth as a standard. It kind of comes with one of the other products if need be. We have our CT Cloud Boost product, which is SD-WAN to help prioritize your traffic, help with taking multiple connections and bonding them together to provide that redundancy, et cetera. And one thing that's unique as a UCaaS provider that we have is the CT Cloud Analyze product. And CT Cloud Analyze is basically a device that gets installed on site. It's a little tiny box, and what it does is it's constantly calling from your network to the CallTower switch to see what the connection's like. It gives us real-time reporting based on, is your internet good? Is there latency? Is there packet loss? You can get notifications. So we do offer that as a service. The last thing we would like you to do is have it call us as a service ticket and say, hey, there's, I have voice quality issues. This device, the CT Cloud Analyze, allows us to identify exactly what the problem is. I mean, and you could be notified as well. So that's a great product. As you can see, we have many solutions. In some cases, customers come to us and say, well, I had one this morning. I would like to see a Cisco solution. I would like to see a Microsoft Teams solution. And I would also like to see the CT Cloud Voice solution. So if you don't mind, putting those quotes together, and then we'll talk about the presentation. So again, that's something that's unique with CallTower, is that we're going to customize something that works for you and your organization, not trying to, put a square peg in a round hole. We want to listen to what your needs are and then come up with a good solution. Yeah. On the next slide here, now it's very similar. The thing is, why I like to point this out is that we are the one-stop shop, as I mentioned, right? We have a big portfolio of products and things. Basically, what it comes down to is how do you project manage that? We've all purchased things from companies or certain solutions providers that you get maybe a different implementation manager, one that does maybe this and another that does that. It's their department, right? They don't talk. Not with CallTower. You will be assigned a dedicated implementation manager that actually handles all the solutions, no matter what solution it is. And we have many customers that come to us that say, well, we have a lot of Cisco infrastructure, but we're migrating the Teams. How do we handle that? We can put you on our hosted Cisco and do a slow migration to Teams based on location, departments, states. I have a customer who just he's across the 50 states and he's doing deployment based on what state we're doing. So this is something that's nice, is that you have one-stop shop for everything based on our project management standpoint. We have all of our products that can really, that will fit all your needs. And again, over whatever time frame that you would like. So we go to the next one, please. Mm-hmm. Yeah, as I mentioned that we are a Microsoft Gold partner, and whether we help you with your licensing or not, that's okay, right? Whether you purchase them from Microsoft or you already have your IT company or your cloud service provider, the advantage of this is that we know the Microsoft world, right? So we do have a Microsoft team that will assist you in setting things up like Teams, right? There's things that need to be built out in the tenant, whether it's hunt groups, auto attendance, things like that. Your cloud service providers, your IT folks can lean on our department to help them set those things up. So being a Microsoft shop ourselves, we're always willing to help out and somewhat support within reason, but we're always there for you if you need us on the Microsoft side. And being a Gold partner, we definitely get to higher escalations and things with Microsoft if need be, if we need to engage them. So awesome solution, and it all comes.
This flexibility is great because obviously we've probably got a bunch of our partners on board on the call today.
Yeah.
Obviously they're selling Microsoft licenses. So again, don't feel that that business of yours is going away. You can absolutely leverage the CallTower solutions on the licenses that you're selling your clients and so on and so forth. And again, as Raphael says, if that's the case and you want to continue to do that, great. And guess what? The CallTower team will be an added extension of the sort of support potentially for you in managing obviously at the very least the voice direct services that you're getting from CallTower.
Absolutely. And this is a great slide. Really, why CallTower Microsoft Teams, right, versus dial plan? Well, Microsoft, when they came out with Teams and the PBX side of Teams, they call us direct routing partners, and then they sell a dial plan, which is their Microsoft dial plan. Okay, but what's the difference? One is the DID management. We find a lot of organizations that, currently using Skype for Business and they want to go to Teams. How do you make that work? We can make it work. There's interoperability between the two that we've built. Okay. DID management also, as many organizations have reserved phone numbers that they keep on the side in case they, for future growth, or maybe temporary employees, things like that, right? Sometimes they have spike in businesses based seasonally, interns coming in the summer, things like that, that we can manage their DIDs, right? The direct inward dial numbers. What's exclusive with us is that, there is some gaps within Teams that we can help with. Such as I mentioned before, is we have, our CT Cloud meeting powered by Zoom, but, it's different than Teams. We have faxing available. We have SD-WAN available to help enhance the internet connections and things and prioritize your traffic. We have contact center. These are things, and the reason why we have on there CT Cloud Contact Center coming soon is because today, Microsoft Teams, there's no open APIs, right? There's no way to get into the Teams tenant. With our contact center, it sits next to Teams. And what I mean by that is that the traffic can go back and forth, but there is one downfall with that, and that is presence. So if I'm a contact center agent and I wanted to transfer a call to a Teams user in my organization, I could not see in the contact center that that person is available or unavailable. I would actually have to open up the Teams app, or desktop to actually look at that. So there's that connection isn't truly there, right? Which is really just the presence. And that's why we put coming soon, because we do offer the contact center. It's just they're not fully married yet until Microsoft opens the API. As far as, being experienced, we have close to 300 customers that we've moved over onto Microsoft Teams ever since it came out in 2018, being a direct routing partner. I have to say probably in the last 6 to 7 months have been probably about 180 of those customers, because Teams is adapting and growing so fast. I don't know if anyone knows this, but Microsoft Teams is actually growing 3 times faster, or people are adapting to Teams 3 times faster than when Outlook was introduced. To show you, to kind of tell you how quickly it's growing and how more people are using it on a day-to-day basis. Things sometimes come up with compliancy, right? We could talk to customers about that. We offer live training. That's something that Microsoft doesn't offer. It's kind of like they just have their videos or their, documents on how to set up a voicemail. We actually offer live training, whether it's via webinar. We even have a person. I mean, not today. I don't know if you want anybody in your office today, but we do have a trainer that does travel across the United States, and all she does is come into the offices and does trainings on site. So we do offer that typically. Again, 24/7, 365 US-based support. This is something that makes us unique versus some other UCaaS providers out there as well, is that everything's handled out of Utah. So when you're talking to our service department, you will be talking to somebody in the US, which does help. And it is 24/7, 365. Being a direct routing partner also means there's no equipment. Sometimes I get on a lot of calls with customers who they think that they need to purchase a router or a session border controller or some sort of appliance that needs to sit on their LAN to make Teams work. You don't need to do that with CallTower. We have that equipment in the Microsoft data center, which is what our network is connected to. So all we're doing is connecting our equipment to your Microsoft Teams tenant. Okay, very easy. So again, why CallTower versus Microsoft? It's really going to be that our network is optimized for voice. Microsoft is not a voice company, right? They're not a telco. They are Microsoft. So with that, we have a network that's we're in 7 data centers across the country. Our network is completely optimized for voice, so we can handle quality of calls. And it doesn't matter who you're using for internet. We're tied in with over 40 providers across the United States, internet providers, the AT&Ts, Verizons, the Windstreams, et cetera of the world, so that way with our partnership, they have to hand us the quality of service, the call with quality of service into our network. We could do things like, and if you are a Teams user, you may be aware that about 7 weeks ago, Microsoft Teams had an outage. They were out for about an hour and 15 minutes. Everybody knew. Microsoft tweeted it out, and it was all over social media, and a lot of organizations knew right away that it was out. That's where CallTower shined, because we can do things where we reroute your calls within 15 minutes. So if you call us within 15 minutes, I can route your call to cell phones, answering service. Heck, I can build a auto attendant and some users on a separate platform, my CT Cloud voice platform, essentially, and route calls to that, so you could still accept calls or have an auto attendant or go to voicemail and email. It's something. It's not just ringing. Again, I already kind of touched on the support. On the support side, though, let me kind of back up on that a little bit. What's nice is with CallTower is we don't have a customer service department. And what I mean by that is, typically when you have a service issue with any provider or, internet provider as well, is you call and the customer service person takes your information, right? They enter the notes, they give you a ticket number, and they say a technician will be back with you within whatever 4 hours or today or whatever it may be. With CallTower, we don't have a customer service department. When you click on one to talk to somebody about Teams, you're talking to a level 1 support person. Okay, sometimes it's level 2 depending on how busy the level 1 guys are. So typically those calls are resolved on your first call into us, which is phenomenal. 86% of our calls are handled at a level 1 support, which is amazing, right? And if it does require a little more investigation or troubleshooting, yes, you will get a notification to say, we'll give you a call back, et cetera, like a lot of other organizations. But 86% of all calls are handled on your first call in is amazing. We already mentioned about enterprise security and compliance, Microsoft Teams. We have to have that based on Microsoft with our session border controllers, which talk to Teams, that are the compliances all set up and the security. They are certified through Microsoft. Emergency services. If you have any locations, that are international, we can handle every country is a little different, and that's why it's specific to only 36 countries. For example, Mexico, there's an issue with Mexico. There's no 911 in Mexico through Teams, whether Microsoft does it or CallTower direct routing. But we do have a workaround on that. We can just install another device and do local trunking. So depending on what country it is, it depends on what it is. Direct routing is a managed service, meaning if there's anything that you need on Teams, on the direct routing piece, you call CallTower. We'll take care of it. Calling Microsoft. I don't even think Microsoft has a phone number. But we're here to help you on anything that you need. So not a problem. And we don't charge for any type of troubleshooting or anything like that. Again, all your communication is going to be in the one spot here at CallTower. Something that I love this snapshot here. This is something that we take off of our website, right? We publish this on our website, all of our platforms. As you can see in the past month, Microsoft Teams has been up 100% past quarter as well as past year. Actually, Teams has never gone down, knock on wood, with CallTower since it came out in 2018, but our system only goes back 12 months, which is solid. It's awesome because everything's in there, the redundancy is built, we're connected. Now people will say, well, yeah, but Teams had an outage 7 weeks ago. The Teams PBX did. CallTower's direct routing didn't. So we could get to the Teams server, but the server wouldn't do anything, right? And that's where the failover and rerouting of calls kicked in and things like that. Whether you do it through a customer portal or you call us and we do it within 15 minutes on that, we can easily do that. So something that we publish on our website. Kind of talking about a little bit of the Microsoft Teams calling plan options. This is something that I like to bring up is why CallTower versus Microsoft. When you get the licensing from Microsoft, it is missing certain things, right? One, let's just talk about support. Just the initial install could be kind of a pain. You got to go online, you got to learn how to set up the auto attendance, you got to figure out how to do the hunt groups, you got to, your user groups, build the users out, etc. With CallTower, we give that information, right? There's the direction, whether we do it or whether the customer does it. Features, there's a lot of features like call recording. Sometimes we get on calls and customer says, we got to have call recording with that. Microsoft Teams can't do that. CallTower with Microsoft Teams can do that. Right, add-on platforms, as I mentioned, whether it's contact center, for example, all the porting. If anyone who's gone through a Teams migration could tell you the porting is a real pain. You got to put all your phone numbers in their portal. You submit them. You wait for somebody in the Microsoft world to then confirm it. They give you a date, and then hope you don't change the date. Right, because changing the date is a whole other ball of wax. You could go down, etc. I've heard some horror stories. And then emergency services, the 911. We have ways to enhance. We offer enhanced 911 services. So whether it's remote users that we're setting up 911, international, there's a lot more that we can do with the 911 than Microsoft can do. Next thing, there we go. Option 2. So using a direct routing partner like us, CallTower. again, the contact center is a big piece. And so if there's any needs on the contact center, faxing, we offer two types of faxing, whether it's eFax, fax to email, whether it's a hard machine, fax machine that you need connection to, that's not a problem. We can offer that as well. Overhead paging, call recording. I just did a customer who needed a gate opener because at night the security guard sits there, semi truck pulls up. They hit the door buzzer, which is Teams. We can do that. Rang the security guard. He answered the phone. He said, yeah, okay, you're here to drop off whatever. He then enters the code to then open the gate so that the semi. That's something that we can do. These are things that people oversee when going to Teams that they don't realize if they went with Microsoft until it's too late, right? How do you fix it? These are things that we address up front, and the things that are the feature gaps with Teams that CallTower can fill. So, I'm a very visual person, so I had asked somebody in my market department to kind of put together something here so people can see like how it flows, because understanding the direct routing piece is something that again, I like to kind of, it's not a big drawing, but it kind of helps, right? PSTN network is the public switching telephone network. So the PSTN is connected directly to the CallTower. We have the CallTower switch, and then from there it goes to the certified session border controllers. Again, we have high availability session border controllers, and what that means is in case one fails, it goes to the other. We have these through our 7 data centers that are in the Microsoft data centers across the country. So we are spread out from East Coast, West Coast, very heavily concentrated in the center and in the middle here. So the quality is going to be there. Again, having some additional items that we can do, like the redundancy and all that, which we can always build out for you. We're happy to do that. As you can see here on from the session border controller, we will provide a dedicated connection. Some people, will question the security part, because if I have one big carrier grade or two per data center carrier grade session border controllers, like how are we prioritizing that? And can you see each other? Can you, cross phone numbers? No, you can't. The way these session border controllers are built out is they're built by tenants. So you sign on with us, we give you the credentials in the session border controller, and then we provide a dedicated SIP trunk from the session border controller to Microsoft Teams. So you don't have to worry about compliancy, quality, or anything like that. Everything is listed there.
Cool.
Yeah. So as we kind of get into things, we could talk about how great we are for the next 3 hours, but we want to get into the real cost, right? This is a true case study of one of my customers that we did. This is a customer that deployed Microsoft Teams last summer. It was June. He was using it internally. They decided to go with the Microsoft dial plan. Microsoft's dial plan, even though they call it their unlimited dial plan, it's not unlimited. There is a cap. It's 3,000 minutes per person for inbound and outbound. Okay. Now it is collective. So when you have 1,000 users, that's a lot of minutes, right? Now, smaller customers that maybe have 20 or 40 users, that could be an issue. But when you have over 1,000, it's not a big deal, right? So they charge $12 for their dial plan. Again, 3,000 minutes per user, collective. Microsoft also has it where if you want an international access, you have to take out another $12 license. So $24 per user to have international access for outbound, as well as your local number.
When you say access, that just means the ability to call internationally. It doesn't mean the actual. So they're paying measured rates on those international calls, correct?
That's correct. Now they do give some, and it kind of changes, but they do give some numbers or some minutes for specific countries. Why? I don't know, but there's specific countries, like for example, Germany is in that. There's Germany. I think I saw UK was, they give you 300 minutes for international, but it's only specific countries. And it's very limited. But with this customer, he was spending $25,000 a month. They love Teams. They live in Teams. And we came across them because they were looking at contact center. And so they wanted a contact center solution, and based that we have teams and we have our contact centers that sit alongside and work with Teams users, they came to us. And when they came to us, I talked to them about their dial plan, and they said, "Oh, we're all set up. We ported numbers, all the users using it, and everything's fine." I said, "Okay." And then I said, "Do you mind me asking, you have the international plan?" "Yes." So I knew what they're spending. I mean, this is what Microsoft sells it for. So I said, "Well, we do offer this plan. Plans where we have a couple different options. One is that we offer the Microsoft Teams Direct Routing metered plan. This is a $4.95 per person, and you pay a penny per minute for outbound calls. All inbound is free. Just the outbound call is where we charge a penny per minute." So we were able to, through the Teams tenant, is actually pull a call detail on his outbound calling. His outbound calling to anyone outside of the organization was 19,973 minutes. So he said, "Okay, at a penny per minute, as you can see, it's less than $200 a month." Now, he did mention that there was 6 of his users were collections. These people were on the phone 8 to 5, constantly making collection calls for their organization. So, okay, so they clearly went over that. We do offer an $11.95 unlimited plan. So we were able to put those users on the unlimited plan at $11.95. That's unlimited US and Canada, okay? Inbound, outbound, etc. And by doing this, the international call plan, again, it didn't break down the minutes, so we kind of estimated that it'd be about $200 to $300 in usage on international based on the countries he had called from a bill he had from a year or two before. But as you could see, there's a substantial savings that we did. And then we actually ended up. He moved forward with the contact center and added about 20 agents on a contact center solution separately. But to make it clean and clear, this was Teams. He was already a user, and it was a very, very easy transition, especially because he'd already built out his hunt groups and his users and auto attendants, and everything was already set up in the Teams tenant. So all we did was port the numbers over and cut his bill by almost 80%.
Yeah, no,
Amazing.
That's incredible. And they were looking for a contact center, and that savings, the 79% savings, I mean, more than paid for that like 3 times over, right?
It did. And then providing that redundancy and
the information
and
that's
support.
not here, right, Raf, is how much they were spending for their contact center solution on top of that, right? So, I mean,
correct.
They're paying Microsoft Direct the 25 grand. They're paying somebody else for their contact center solution and services for their existing contact center services, which aren't even boiled in there. So, I mean, it's just crazy crazy value.
Absolutely. So, one of the things that come up is these are a couple of my customers that are case studies that, we use direct quotes, and we use also as references. We have a lot of references. I can tell you that the number one product out of all the platforms we have that customers ask for references is Teams. And the reason I found, and I've asked people, I said, "Well, why do you want to reference your Teams?" It's just they all kind of have the same response. "I just want to see what other users, what they think. How was the transition? How do they like it?" The way I like to explain Teams is like if anyone's ever driven an electric car or ridden an electric car, it's still a car. It just has a different feel, right? You can't hear the engine start. You can't hear the transmission shifting. You don't hear the exhaust roaring. It's still a car. It's just got a different feel. And that's what Teams essentially is. And that's why I feel that a lot of people ask for references and why we created case studies. And again, we've got a lot of references of customers of all sizes. Some big names recently that we just brought on board or going through transition even. Gibson Guitars. We did their corporate office. Remax Corporate out of Colorado we did. Duracell. I didn't sell that one. My counterpart did, but Duracell is one that's 8,500 seats, and they deployed it nationwide. Teams, direct routing with us. So some big names. Lending Tree uses it as well. So and then we have smaller customers. I mean, some of these are 80 Siebel's is 80 seats. Press is 200. So again, whatever size you need a reference, not a problem. We're happy to provide that. one of the things that we've come up with on COVID-19 is, what we're doing. So we're offering currently some promotions, and a lot of people are, but there's a lot of gotchas with certain people's promotions, right? They want you to sign up. They want to, give you 90 days, et cetera, or a certain amount of time. With CallTower here, we are providing a true trial, right? So this is something on the 90 days of service, of free service is something we're doing. After that, after you turn up, question comes up, well, we don't know after 90 days how it's going to impact the business, right? We don't know what this is going to do long term or within a year. So we have it where we have a turn down users. Basically, it's a downturn of business clause as needed. So not a problem. We can provide that as an additional. So technically, when you look at this, you have 180 days. That when I mean downturn is if you have 100 users and you want to go down to 10, not a problem. You're not in breach of contract, and we're allowing you to do that up to 180 days, which is awesome. Free cancellation of service within 90 days following your activation. I mean, try it. I have people who say, especially now what's going on with so many people work from home, we can port numbers over, try it out, see what you think. If you like it, continue service. If you need to, change the agreement for any reason, not a problem. Again, going back to the bullet point there, the second bullet point, that we're allowing that flexibility to downsize, or maybe you're increasing your business. So we allow that flexibility there.
And again, obviously we're talking about Teams today, but you're offering this across all your platforms here, it says there. Yeah.
That's correct. It's everything from Cisco, Skype for Business, WebEx meetings, everything. Absolutely.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool. So enough talk about Teams, and obviously the value proposition.
Yeah.
I mean, from a cost perspective, it's just phenomenal. The value you're able to deliver over and above what Microsoft could deliver. Let's take a look at it. Take it for a drive, if you like, Raf. Let me go ahead. I'm going to make you presenter here.
Okay.
And hopefully you can give us a sort of end user demo. What does a remote worker actually see? and what do they have in
absolutely.
their hands?
No,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, this comes up quite a bit. Let me know you can see my screen. You should see the Teams.
Yeah.
Call. Yep. Okay. Great. So, as a Teams user, and I know we're kind of getting, coming up on the time here, so I want to make sure we hit it. You have your activity, as Sam had showed you on the previous slide. We have the activity, you have your chat, you've got your Teams, your calendar integration, etc. But we have calls, right? This right here is your phone system, right? So you can build out all your users in Teams, right? You do favorites, you categorize them maybe by locations, by departments, whatever you like to do. We're 170 employees. I only talk to about 35 people in my organization on a consistent basis. This is who I list here. There are people that I talk to outside of my organization consistently that I also list on the lower part. But what's nice is that it has the calendar integration, right? So I can see that Beth is presenting. When you're in a presentation mode, it puts you on a do not disturb. So I could not send her a message, or I could send it to her, but she will not get notification. I could call her, but it will go straight to her voicemail, right? Jennifer's in a call. I see William's in a meeting, etc. But this is your phone system. What's nice is that if a call comes in, and I know based on time I would go through this, but it's easy to park calls. If as a receptionist, there is no receptionist console today with Teams. And when I say today, is that in Microsoft announced in December at Microsoft Ignite that Teams was going to have a receptionist console. It's already been built. I've seen it demoed. It's online. It's on YouTube and everything else. The only thing is they haven't put it out there yet. Now, again, that was in December. Here we are basically end of April. So hopefully it should be here real soon. But the way you kind of get around a receptionist console is you just build all your users here so that you can transfer calls, you can chat them, you can transfer to voicemail, etc. So if I was a receptionist in the organization, that's how I do it. Or I can even park a call. Call comes in, I can park the call. When I hit park, it will give me a unique number. I can message William and say I parked Sam on 10 for you. He could chat back and say, okay, great, grab him now, or etc. Right. This is also great for somebody who's maybe if you have a warehouse and a maintenance man who's out and about. You could park a call and then page him or message him or, whatever it may be, and say I parked the call on 10 or whatever it may be. All your contacts are listed here, right? So internal and external will be listed here. This does tie in with your contacts in your Outlook. So very easy to call somebody. Whether you call them, if you have their cell phone listed, you'll have that as an option. You can add them as a speed dial, or you can block that person who's trying to constantly call you and sell you Microsoft Teams. Right? You just put them in here and block them. Kidding. So with that being said, here's a history of your calls, inbound and outbound. Right? Everything. Same thing. If you want to call them back and speed out, add to a contact or block. You could do that right through here. So duration, and as administrator, you could see everybody. So if there's any questions about certain employees, times on the phone, you could get through the admin portal and look at these. The voicemail. This is voicemail to email, but you also get it here. When you do a voicemail and email, it does the transcription. It does the same thing in the voicemail and email. You could call the person back. You can, delete it. You can
really
save
nice.
it. But
that's really nice because yeah, lots of UCaaS providers, they'll charge you extra for that transcription. So having that is real nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's your dial pad.
In interest of time, just because we got a couple of minutes before we're meant to wrap up here, you want to just show what the app looks like on a cell phone? I think you can do a screen mirror, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Well,
because while you bring that up, maybe we could just talk about that client that you mentioned yesterday, who was trying to get adoption of Teams within their organization, and you want to just talk about that while you're getting that set up with the Amazon card?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So with Teams, this customer, he's currently using a Cisco solution. And he said, I have 2,000 users, to forklift this, and it's been a real pain for him having everyone work from home, because even though they have this Cisco solution, it's not working the way they needed to. Right now, they have people taking phones home. They had to do some settings in the firewall and the phones, they had to do VPNs. It's been a nightmare. So, but at the same time, he's, hopefully they'll be back to work soon or in the office, but he's coming up with a plan on how to do a slow migration. Again, by location, mirroring Teams, maybe assigning new phone numbers within Teams so people get used to it, and then porting numbers over, because they're using Teams for collaboration in that, but he wanted his users to really try it out. So we're going to assign temporary phone numbers to the DIDs, to the Teams users, and then that way they could try it for however long it is, 2 weeks, a month, and things like that. We are setting up simultaneous ring within Teams, so that it could, if somebody calls them back on the Teams number, that it can ring their old phone number, and vice versa. They're doing it on their Cisco phone system, where it will ring Teams at the same time. So wherever the user is, they can actually pick up the phone, or they can answer on Teams. It's kind of like having two phone systems running for the same.
Yeah, that's really cool. So again, the key thing here is, just taking a look at that app. I mean, it's just like any other cell phone app, but guess what? It's got the full Teams capability there, except it's along the bottom instead of along the side, right? The calls, activity, chat, etc. So yeah, it's all right there, right?
Absolutely. So easy to make calls. It shows your office number, not your cell number. This works great. This is great for remote users. You don't need to buy a handset. You could do, whether it's a soft client, use your mobile device. I know a lot of people have AirPods or just wired headsets or whatever it may be. This works fantastic. Works amazing over 4G or LTE, 4G network, as well as Wi-Fi. If I'm actually on 4G and I walk into my house and it connects to Wi-Fi, the call will switch over to Wi-Fi without dropping the call, which is amazing. A lot of cool perks. I know we're top of the hour here, so I want to make sure we, touch on this. But it's great. It's very easy to make calls. You can see all the voicemails, transcription, everything's the same that I just showed on the desktop, and everything gets logged here. This also allows you, as a mobile device, it allows you to do audio video conferencing up to 250 people, just like your TeamSoft client on your laptop or desktop.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to just take back control here,
Yep,
and
absolutely.
we'll wrap up here, Raf.
Yep.
So I just want to recap some key takeaways for everyone. Obviously, people who are looking at Teams, they've probably already implemented Office 365, yet they're not getting the full power of Teams until they enable the voice, right? So it's time to actually leverage that investment, right, that you've made already in Teams. And as Raphael's earlier slides showed, by doing so, you can significantly reduce your telecom spend. And by going with CallTower for Teams Direct, 75% less than other competing UCaaS solutions, whether that's a Jive, a RingCentral, or whatever. We've seen those seat prices of like $5 a user, right? Versus most other UCaaS providers, you're looking at somewhere between 20 and $25 a user. So it's really cost effective. And then finally, obviously, it's as we showed from that one example, it can be up to like 75% less than buying it direct from Microsoft, despite you getting all the support and everything that the CallTower brings to the table. And with that, there is that support. There is the network that's been optimized for voice traffic, and CallTower also has very competitively priced contact center solutions if you do have more advanced call handling needs and/or additional CRM integrations and so on and so forth. And then finally, but not to be underestimated, there is no new hardware necessary. If you've got a laptop or a smartphone, all you have to do is download the app and you have the full Teams capability and voice capability. Sure, you might want to buy a new headset for whatever device you're using, but more than likely, most people already have a headset. So this is very, very simple to roll out. It's as simple as downloading an app from your Apple Store or your Google Store, right? It really can be that easy. So how you get started, just reach out to us at info@usavoicedata.com. Feel free to call us. Simply, when you call, just say, hey, we'd like a free Teams evaluation and pricing analysis. And then my team will then work with Raphael and the team over at CallTower and pull together a complete analysis side by side with what you're currently spending on your voice services today, or obviously your Teams voice services with Microsoft, and you'll see some real bottom line savings. With that, I'd just like to wrap up here. Raphael, thanks so much again for sharing the CallTower story with us today. We look forward to doing a lot of business with you guys and turning that 1100% uptick of Teams to 2000% over the next quarter. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Great. Thank you.